In general, negotiations tend to proceed through 6 stages: preparation, build relationship, exchange information, persuade, make concessions, and find agreement, or walk away. Your ability to have success in the last 4 stages is to a large degree determined by your attention to the first 2 stages. That is, the negotiation process and the likelihood that you will reach a good agreement depends crucially on your level of preparation and the relationship to the other party. However, somewhat separate from the level of preparation and the type of relationship is the limitations of our cognitive abilities. The fact that our human brains are subject to many types of cognitive biases. And these biases influence our ability to make good decisions in situations that are characterized by limited time and complex information. Situations that force us to make decisions under uncertainty, using rules of thumbs or mental shortcuts. Although we would all like to think that we always make rational decisions based on the facts available to us, decisions based on an analysis of the marginal cost and the marginal benefits associated with each of our alternatives, the fact is that we are not quite as rational as we might think or hope. Given that we try to use rationality and logic to make decisions, while recognizing also that we are not computing machines, that is, recognizing that we are in fact humans with emotions and cognitive limitations, the question is, what is the best way to persuade the person across the table to accept our ideas and our proposals? Well, let's think a little bit about the 4th stage of the negotiation: persuasion. The concept of persuasion is defined as the process of guiding people toward the adoption of an idea or action by rational or symbolic means. What does that mean? Well, rational means and will include such things as logical reasons, rational arguments, and facts and evidence. Symbolic refers to basically everything else. The symbolic means and include how, when, and where you present your request, how you frame your proposals, if you will. Already in the definition of persuasion, we note that we need to be aware of both our rational arguments and how we present, how we frame those rational arguments. Again, negotiation and persuasion is not a mathematical problem with one solution. Instead, it is a messy process that depends crucially on relationships and, frankly, our tendency to make poor choices in the heat of the moment. Now, the science of persuasion, and there is such a science, is about how to get people to change their behavior or their ideas. And the key word here is change. To get people to change what they do or think is very difficult. Persuading people is difficult. It's also not an exact science. All we really hope to accomplish here is to increase the odds of success by stacking the deck in our favor. One way to achieve this is to better understand our brains. Our brain is very complicated, of course. But in general, the brain conducts 2 types of processes. Automatic. These processes can be represented by our friend Homer Simpson, who just reacts to whatever stimulus is in front of him. And controlled processes, and these processes can be represented by Mr. Spock from Star Trek, a hyper-rational individual. In short, the control system has evolved to support the automatic processes by allowing humans to think about long-term goals, to make rational decisions, even when the costs and benefits are not immediately obvious and perhaps will not be experienced for a long time. The problem is that the control system can in general only do one thing at a time. They can only process one thing at a time, while our lives are incredibly complex and full of information. And this is the reason for why people must constantly create shortcuts or rules of thumb to aid in their decision making. And as the amount of information and the degree of complexity increases, and as we have less and less time to think, these shortcuts become more and more important to us. And when trying to persuade someone, we might be able to take advantage of these shortcuts in order to convince them to take the action that we desire. So, happy Hunger Games, and may the odds be ever in your favor.